Tina Turner, the legendary musician, cultural icon, and powerhouse entertainer, has sadly passed away at the age of 83. Today, we honor her memory by taking a look at the 1993 film, What's Love Got to Do with It, starring Angela Bassett and Lawrence Fishburne.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre,
I'm Jeremy Johnson.
and this is Filmgazm. Welcome to the Filmgazm podcast. I'm here with Jeremy Johnson, our resident music fan, who's going to help me dissect What's Love Got to Do with It. Sadly, today's episode came out of some sad news, as did our Punisher Warzone episode. We lost Ray Stevenson and we lost Tina Turner in the same week. After a battle with intestinal cancer, she sadly lost that battle. And this film seemed to us to be the best way to honor her memory in our way. She was an inspiration to millions, toured extensively around the world to sold-out stadiums before her retirement in 2009. And this movie is named after her most successful hit single, which was released on the 1984 album Private Dancer. And let's get right into it. So, Jeremy, my question to you is this. Musician biopics all tend to follow a similar formula. Humble beginnings, sudden discovery, surge in popularity, depression sinks in due to substance abuse problems or a toxic relationship, rehab or divorce, comeback tour, roll credits. We all kind of, if you watch these, if you watch more than one, you tend to notice the formula. You're like, okay, here comes the drug moment, here comes rock bottom. All right, here comes the comeback tour. It's usually named after a hit single of theirs. So there's not really a lot of, they're predictable, but most of them are huge box office successes and critical darlings and beloved by fans. So why do you think that is? What is it about this predictable formula that keeps people coming back for more?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think I could answer that. I mean, I think it's definitely the same kind of thing, and the same reason why people keep seeing fucking Marvel movies. It's like it's just the same thing with a different coat of paint on it, and it's definitely like, oh, I'm a big fan of this one, so maybe I'll go see this one, but I won't see this other one. But I mean, I don't really know what like a little bit ago, I watched a bunch of these in quick succession, and a bunch of these, I mean, musical artist biopics, and they're all the same fucking movie. Um, it's maybe what kept me watching them was to compare them to each other. Almost that's why I kept watching them. But I don't know. I guess we just never have enough of it. Definitely depends on the direction the film takes and who's in the lead role, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what can you do in this that makes it unique for this movie. I think it's who we have playing Ike and Tina is what sets this one, What's Love Got to Do with It, apart. So I think,
I agree.
yeah, I think it's just what unique thing can you do in this film, even though they are so hackneyed and overdone. Like, what unique thing can you bring to the table?
Yeah. Yeah, it does come down to performance and how you kind of honor the person at hand. I find it interesting you compared them to Marvel movies because there is this adoration of celebrity in our country where these are kind of similar to superhero movies in terms of box office success. And I wonder if that's a part of it. It's like these are lives that are celebrated and like unattainable. They're almost worshipped. So people want to see that. People want to see these people's lives just to almost to compare it to their own, or just see like what's the moment where they became, iconic people like musicians. I don't know. I find them more entertaining when like the actor at hand actually does the singing. I find that to be a lot. I think it's
Oh,
a
hell yeah,
better.
hell yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't usually
Well,
happen.
but
Most of the time it's dubbed over, but like it's dubbed over in this movie. Angela Bassett's not singing. Fishburne is singing though.
yeah, I mean, fucking shit, man. Like, you're talking about like if you have somebody who's like, oh, I'm gonna do the vocals for like, I don't know, like I'm gonna do the vocals for like the Sex Pistols or something. Like having an actor do that, it's not that wild a stretch of the imagination. Having an actor that could do fucking Tina and do it justice is like
Yeah.
I don't know if they were gonna find that. And then they also got to fucking act and be in these like insanely intense fucking scenes. Like I think depending on who the artist is, I'm a fan of just do the dubbed over. One of the biopics I watched not too long ago was Coal Miner's Daughter, Sissy Spacek, and that was just like um one of the few biopics where it just feels like everything is perfect. She could do the singing, she could play the scenes, but I mean, it's Tina Turner, like
Yeah.
you're never gonna find someone that
No.
could do all of that.
That's how I felt about I Want to Dance with Somebody, the Whitney Houston biopic from last year.
Yeah, what's her name? Naomi
Naomi
Aki.
Aki,
Is
yeah,
that?
something like that. And
Well, she supposedly can sing in that range. She just chose not to because she was like, "Oh, I'm not going to disrespect Whitney like that or whatever." I feel like I read something like that.
I respect that because, yeah, those are huge shoes to step into. Rami Malek playing Freddie Mercury, same deal. No one's going to match that range.
Yeah, yeah,
But like Joaquin Phoenix playing Johnny Cash, that was doable.
yeah. Always doable. Well, I mean, you have like what makes an artist special? Is it because like I mean, Tina Turner is special for so many reasons. The way she attacks the stage, uh, the original dance moves. Like I mean, nobody could dance like her, and you watch her dance, and it's just like it's hard to even like the movements are just so weird. And I don't know, but it's so cool, and no one else can emulate that. Like
Yeah, she was
quite
every
like her.
bit her own person and her own
Yeah.
performer, and that comes across just constantly.
Well, then I mean, you got somebody like Joaquin playing Johnny. Like I mean, Johnny Cash was Johnny Cash was cool for other reasons, right? But like, it's not really hard to like emulate his mannerisms or like the way he played guitar, the way he sang, because it's not fucking crazy looking, And I mean, he's just got that that deep voice that isn't, I mean, you can't ever quite match like the soul that's there, right? That unattainable thing that you can't really, no one can really do quite like anyone else, But you can like sing those lines, And I think Joaquin does a pretty good job in that movie.
Yeah, I agree. Are there any like big time, big iconic famous musicians you'd like to see go through this formula, get their own movie?
I don't know. That's a good question. Do you have one? Is there one that you have? Is that why?
I'd
Is
love
that
to
why
see
you ask?
yeah, basically. I'd I would love to see a proper David Bowie biopic.
Oh yeah, yeah. There has not been one of those.
No, they made one a few years ago with like without the permission of his estate, so they weren't allowed to use any of his music. And it's like, well, why is anybody gonna fucking watch this? So I would love to see that.
Yeah, proper David Bowie. Do you have someone you would want to play him?
Oh man. I have not thought that far ahead. I'd probably want to go with an unknown. So, some up and coming British theater actor who's gonna be, because I don't want to see a guy playing Bowie. I want to see Bowie.
But it would be a guy playing Bowie.
Yeah, but like it wouldn't be like, oh look, there's Tom Cruise dressed up as David Bowie. Like I want to see some unknown whose name I don't know playing
Oh
David
yeah,
Bowie.
okay, yeah, okay. I get what you're saying. Tom Cruise. Or you could go the what's that Bob Dylan movie? Is I'm Not There? Is that what it's called? Or
Yeah, yeah.
where he's got four different people that play him, like uh I'd love to see another movie like that about someone else. I mean, obviously it'd just be a straight rip off of that movie, but
Yeah.
yeah, you could do that with David Bowie. That would be perfect for David Bowie.
Yeah. One guy
Like
playing
the
Ziggy
different
Stardust, one guy
yeah,
playing, China
yeah.
Girl
That'd be
Bowie.
fucking
Like,
rad.
yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
cool.
But then I think it would like as I get older now, like that like the what's possible is getting wider, like because as the music I listened to growing up, the music we listened to when we were growing up, like gets older, you know. I don't know. Maybe one day when I'm like in my 50s, there could be like a System of a Down biopic or something, like or like just like new metal bands or whatever, like fucking like a Slipknot biopic, which I mean, I think like just a universe where a movie like that exists is absolutely fucking hilarious. Like, because normally, I mean, there are a few that are kind of about bands. I mean, like you say, like there's a movie, The Doors, right? Val Kilmer, was that like 91? I don't
Yeah,
know,
around that
90,
time.
somewhere in there.
Yeah.
The movie's called The Doors. The Doors are featured in the film, but like that's the fucking Jim Morrison biopic, right? I mean, like it's about Jim Morrison. It's pretty pretty concerned with Jim Morrison the whole time. And like there's that I have not seen this. Like I watched like a few scenes when my girlfriend was watching it. It's the shit, man, the this is Love Will Tear Us Apart, Joy Division, the Joy Division movie.
Oh, okay.
Have you
Yeah.
seen that?
I have not.
I
I
can't
know
I
nothing
can't
about Joy Division.
I can't remember what the Joy Division movie is called, but it's pretty concerned with the lead vocalist. I can't even remember the guy's name, but one of the
Here,
it's so much easier. It's so much easier to focus on it when on an individual, right? Like than it is to
the movie's
or
called
or
Control, and the guy's name is Ian Curtis.
control, right? Well, it's so much easier to like focus on either an individual and like how crazy and creative they are, or um two people. Because well, this is not really in your formula. A lot of the times music biopics, like this is not really a formulaic thing, but it's not like a part of the formula of the narrative. It's like a formula of like what's the overarching thing we're trying to do, and that it's just all like about pairs, a relationship between two people. So like Rocket Man is Bernie Taupin and Ellen John. This movie would be like Ike and Tina. What's Love Got to Do with It is very focused on their relationship. Get On Up, like the James Brown movie. I can't remember the sideman's name in that movie.
I want to say
The guy that's
Bobby
with
Bobby
it's Bobby
Bird.
something. You know what? I have it written down in my notes here of something else. So let's get it right. Don't want to disrespect the man.
I'm pretty sure it's Bobby Bird. I'm gonna bet money
Yeah,
on that.
I feel like you're just right. Like, yeah, it is. Nathan Ellis
Ah,
playing Bobby Bird. Okay. I
yeah,
just I
you're right
yes.
though. Most of them, yeah, a lot of them do tend to do that, because it's more relatable to anchor somebody's whole, life and career to like one person as opposed to, an
Yeah.
audience millions. So yeah,
Yeah,
I get that.
or even multiple people or members of a band, like
Yeah.
it it's just such an easier task to like try to focus. You know what one actually that this one that I just remembered, the fucking Motley Crue
Yeah.
movie was the
The
Dirt or
Dirt,
whatever.
yeah.
They're pretty concerned with the whole band in that movie. They have the down and out scenes for like all four of them. Like this is where they're at right now, fucking losers or whatever. Nikki Sixx is shooting dope, and what's his name? Vince Neil's at the bar with like 5 o'clock shadow, that shit like that. But I mean, that movie's. I don't know if you like that movie. I didn't really like that movie.
I liked it because it was just so fucking stupid. I enjoyed like, do these guys really need a movie? Like we all know about Motley Crue. Was anybody shocked about any moment of that? I don't know. But if for entertainment value, it could have been worse.
I guess if you've never heard of Motley Crue, I wonder what someone like that would think if they watched that movie. But I don't know. Yeah, so I guess my answer is System of a Down.
That
Yeah,
Chop
to
Suey.
that to
Yeah,
that question. Chop
that's what
suey.
that's what they call it.
Chop suey. Yeah, right on.
I don't, like in like 10, 20 years for sure, like they're gonna mine the 2000s for
Yeah.
music biopics. That there will be, System of it'll be a fucking Nickelback movie. Like that will happen.
The Nickelback story, Creed, the Creed movie.
The Scott Stapp story. That would be cool, actually.
I would really, I'd like to see I guess like as a more realistic answer that I think is like could actually happen is like no one's really ever like really played Kurt Cobain. But I would love to see like a Nirvana movie, not a Kurt Cobain movie. But I want it to be told through Chris Novoselic's point of view. That's my real answer.
That would be cool, but
Chris
no
Novoselic.
No studio
What?
would green like that. They'd be like, "It's Kurt's movie, or we're
It's
not
Kurt's
making."
movie.
And Courtney
Yeah,
Love would have
I
to be
mean,
dead. Like that's the only way that movie's made.
or the Nirvana movie told from Courtney Love's perspective.
Oh God, I don't want to see the whole movie. I don't want no.
I'd watch the fuck out of that. 5 stars.
Oh God, yeah. This is a road we could go down forever. There's so many great bands that could make really neat movies out of. I'm still waiting for like an AC/DC biopic on like Bon Scott. I'd love to see that.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So let's get into what's love got to do with it. The film is based on Tina Turner's best-selling 1986 autobiography, I, Tina, which was written, of course, by Tina Turner and co-written by music critic Kurt Loder. Ironically, the film was based on her autobiography, but also took quite a lot of liberties with her story, to the point where Tina Turner basically disowned the movie. When the film was in early development, Taylor Hackford was slated to direct. At that point, he had directed An Officer and a Gentleman, White Knights, and Against All Odds. He later directed Blood In, Blood Out, The Devil's Advocate, and Ray, among others. Ray is another fantastic music biopic.
That's the director of this film, directed all those movies?
He was the first choice. He later backed out.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, shit, for real?
So after he backed out, they then offered the director's chair to Mario Van Peebles, director of New Jack City, but he wanted to play Ike Turner as well as direct. So they were like, no, and he backed out. And Touchstone poached Brian Gibson, who was about to direct That Thing You Do for Paramount. And Touchstone offered him more money, so he backed out of That Thing You Do, went over to this thing. Prior to this film, he had directed a few music videos and Poltergeist 2, The Other Side. So interesting get for this film.
Yeah.
And then after this, not really either.
He doesn't do much else after?
Yeah, not really.
Well,
it happens. Some people only have one.
Yeah, well, I mean this movie to me, the music video thing. You said he directed music videos. That makes sense because I mean, there's a lot of sequences like that. And those are some of the better scenes in this movie, I think. Really entertaining scenes, at least.
Yeah,
but yeah, I can't see this really like opening a lot of doors for a director, like blank check or whatever the fuck it is. What is it when they give you they let you do whatever you want? Is it
carte blanche?
Carte blanche, yeah. Like here, make whatever film you want. Yeah.
Well, like biopics don't really, I mean, when it comes to directors like signature movies, it's very rarely biopics. Like Martin Scorsese with Raging Bull is kind of all I can really think of at the moment, where it's like a director and a true story are so connected. Because it's usually you're just hiring somebody to tell this story. Like I imagine most of these are work for hires.
Yeah, it's more seen as like a keystone thing in an actor's portfolio, right? Like when they played fucking whoever the fuck. I mean, this is like one of Angela Bassett's most famous roles, right? I mean,
yeah. Speaking of Angela Bassett, she was not the first choice. Many actresses were considered to play Tina Turner. Some of the runner-ups were Halle Berry,
what?
Pam Grier.
Okay, that would have been fucking rad.
Would have been cool. Janet Jackson. Vanessa Williams. And the first choice, who nearly did get the role, was Whitney Houston.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that would have been very interesting.
Whitney Houston, I think she would have sang it, right? Like,
Yeah,
do you think she would have just gone for it?
probably. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean,
She
I mean, definitely has the range, but it's the power is what Tina's voice is like that few people can match. That fucking wail, you know.
Yeah, it's the soul. It's she channels her fucking demons into this soulful ass voice that is unmatched by anybody.
Mm.
But Whitney ended up backing out because she was pregnant, and they went with Angela Bassett. But I love the idea of like one super iconic performer playing another super iconic performer. Like I think that happened when I think Diana Ross played Billie Holiday in the 70s. Ladies,
I haven't. Yeah, Lady Sings the Blues. I haven't seen that. That was on my list. I watched like 11 or 12 in a row, like every few days. I'd watch one, and I fell off of it. That was on my list, man. Have you seen that?
I have not. I would like to. I have not seen that.
Oh, we should both watch it.
That would be fun. I did see the Billie Holiday movie from a couple years ago, The United States versus Billie Holiday with Andrew Day. That was better than I expected.
Oh, I never watched that.
Yeah. Wasn't bad. A lot of people didn't like it, but a lot of biopics don't have to do a lot to impress me because I'm a history buff, so I'm kind of just like on board pretty much every time.
Right on. Especially something that feels more historical, like that. But I mean, so that's also a unique thing to bring up. That like, talking about a very, very specific moment in, like it's surrounding like one thing in a real person, or we'll say because we're talking about musical artists, where it focuses on one thing in their life, not like we've got to cram every fucking thing in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think
you can't boil somebody's life down to 2 hours. You just can't do it. It's not possible.
Yeah. But I think what this movie goes for, What's Love Got to Do with It, which I think much to the real Tina Turner's dismay, focuses completely on Ike and Tina Turner's relationship. Like it kind of moves back and forth between like there's a scene of horrific abuse and Ike being a fucking piece of shit, and then it moves to a scene of performance and joy for Tina, where she's just fucking ruling the fucking stage. And it pretty much moves back and forth like that until it comes to a head in that scene in the limo going from the airport to the hotel. And then the movie ends shortly thereafter, and we don't get to see Tina Turner like ruling the fucking world. We just get to see Ike beat the fuck out of her, and then her rise above that, and that's kind of the end of the narrative. So it's focusing on, while it's a long period of time, right? I mean, we get to see her before, but I wish I would have seen the minute mark of when she meets Ike up to the last scene that Ike is in, right? Like
it's early on, like it's in the first like 20 minutes.
It's and she's like 17 when she goes to the club, to see the Kings of Rhythm or whatever, and so yeah, it is focusing on a very specific point in the life. And well, I have not seen this movie, but I assume it's focusing on that, the like the trial that Billie Holiday, what do you say it's called again? United States versus Billie Holiday.
Yeah,
it's focusing on like a very specific part of her life, right? And then showing like flashbacks and shit.
It focuses on the backlash that Strange Fruit had, and how clubs like would literally like chase her off the stage when she tried to sing Strange Fruit, because they saw it as she's going to incite a black riot with this song. It was such horseshit. But that's pretty much what the movie's about, is her trying to like have freedom to sing whatever she wants on stage without getting thrown out of the club. But it covers quite a big span of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know I'm trying to think of other biopics that do that, but nothing's really coming to mind that focus on a specific time of someone's life.
I guess like
Uh,
Sid and Nancy, maybe.
yeah, I never seen that.
It's entirely just like Sid Vicious and Nancy just tearing it up before they both end up dead.
Huh. Huh. Or did you ever see that Al Capone movie with fucking um, Tom Hardy? I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
Capone.
Capone.
Maybe it's just called
Yeah.
Capone. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
about like the most boring time of his life when he's dying and shit.
I was so pissed when I found like when I heard like Tom Hardy's gonna play Al Capone. I was like, holy shit, that's gonna be awesome. And they give me dementia riddled syphilis Capone at the last like year of his life. Are you fucking kidding me? What a waste of time.
I did. I remember. I thought that same thing at the end of that movie. I was like, man, what the fuck? Why? Why is this a movie? Why does this exist? I mean, it seems like it's. Sometimes I watch movies and I think that there's an actor that's just like, I really want to do that, and they have enough clout to get it greenlit, like Tom Hardy, who's like, I want to play Al Capone, but here's the twist: I play him when he's like dying, and not like a interesting historical figure, gangster guy.
Yeah, all his dialogue is just just that every time. I was like, this is the best you could do.
Yeah, I don't know why that movie exists.
There's so many. Yeah, you ever see Hyde Park on Hudson?
No,
Bill
I don't know what
Murray
that is.
plays Franklin D. Roosevelt, and it's entirely about the affair he had with his like second cousin. Like
All right, well, that
he's
would be another example, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking terrible. Like Bill Murray is absolutely terrible in the movie. It's like why would you're gonna make a movie about FDR? This is the part you pick. Like I don't know.
Uh, well, yeah. So, I mean, what's love got to do with it? Well, because she spent so much time with this guy, like we're able to see a huge chunk of her life. But, um, yeah, it's a great narrative, and it's one of the things when watching these interviews with her where she's like, I don't want to talk about that part of my life anymore. And she kept trying to do things to make people stop caring about it, and it just made more people aware, and more people care about it, about her relationship with Ike and the abuse she suffered. So there's a little bit like bringing like tearing down of this movie. Like I like it less because of that. Thinking about the real person behind this movie was like not not into the idea that it existed, but it is such a fucking great narrative. Like it's such a great fucking story. Like I mean, and it's told so well. Like Angela Bassett and Lawrence Fishburne are like perhaps one of the greatest like abusive couples I've ever seen portrayed on film. Like they're so good together. And I'm sure this is in your notes. This is one thing. This is normally a thing you would say, but I'm going to say it because it's coming up now. That Lawrence Fishburne like turned down this role a bunch of times until he found out Angela Bassett was going to play Tina, and like that's so fucking cool that he just knew. Like he's like, oh, she's going to kill it, and she does. Like the facial expressions and the dancing. Like I said, you can never quite capture just Tina's very unique looking face and those facial expressions, the stank face and that giant grin. Um, and the dance moves, like. But Angela Bassett, she she throws everything into it. I think she's not phoning anything in. She threw everything she fucking had into playing this role, and it shows. I think.
Oh, for sure, it definitely shows. And yeah, I did. The next thing in my notes was Lawrence Fishburne turned it down 5 times. So well done. Um, yeah, he and Angela had worked together in Boys in the Hood, so they were, they had known
Right?
each other.
Yeah.
They were probably friendly, and Fishburne knew what a great actor she was. He was reluctant to do this because the first few drafts of the script painted Ike as just like the bad guy of the movie, and not it's not like this draft didn't change that, but I guess he added in a little bit more nuance at points where you get, I don't know. I didn't see the nuance, but if it worked for Larry Fish, I'll take it.
I
Yeah. I
I
read
don't
that.
know.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go
Oh, you
ahead.
got it. You got it.
He got he. Everyone saw him as Ike Turner after this movie came out. Like he said, black women kept giving him the evil eye for years because they would look at him and be like, "You motherfucker, you hurt Tina." And it took The Matrix to finally break free of that, and then he was now Morpheus.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
But that's crazy. Like I can't imagine like meeting an actor and like if I met like the kid who played Joffrey in Game of Thrones, I wouldn't be like, you murdered Ned Stark. Like no, I'd be like, well done, good performance.
Why?
Like how do people
Why'd you
do that?
kill him?
Yeah, you son of a bitch.
You said you weren't going to, and you
You
did.
have no honor. Just
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I remember talking to someone about I don't remember what it was. It was some kind of award show where they were talking about Black Klansmen, and they were announcing the actors, and as each actor stood up, everyone was like clapping. But then there's Topher Grace, and it was like people were like hesitant to clap for Topher Grace because he plays David Duke in Black Klansman. And it's like he's not actually David Duke. Like he played him in a fucking movie. Like what the fuck? You know? And I think Topher Grace, he was great in that movie. And I remember the real David Duke asked Topher Grace if he wanted to meet and like get to know him, and Topher Grace was like, "Fuck no." So he wasn't like sympathetic towards David Duke or anything. Like he's just a fucking actor playing a role like that was needed to be in the film.
I
Like
love
people like
how I love how culturally tone deaf David Duke is, where he's like, "Hey man, would you like to hang out, maybe get to know the character?" Like, no, you fucking racist psycho, no.
because he sees other people do that, like, and he's like, now it's my turn to shine. Like he's like, dude, what? Yeah, that is hilarious. But yeah, I mean, I think it's funny that you say the thing about the nuance. Like, where is that? What? Because there's moments where I'm like, this is where Ike wants you to feel bad for him, but like I don't feel bad for him as like the viewer. Like I've never felt bad for Ike the whole movie. Like, but there's the scenes like there's a scene when they're filming River Deep Mountain High, right? And like or they're listening to the recording of it at Ike and Tina's house. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
And um he like gets up and walks out of the room and he's like, it's real good, Tina. Like, and he's like, looks like a sad little puppy. And she's like, Ike. And he was like, no, you done real good. Yeah. Like kind of like that. And it's like, I don't feel bad for him. I'm like, dude, you fucking cunt. Like, you're like, be nice to your wife, man. Like, like listen to this great track she just had, and like, but no, she feels bad for him, but like I never felt bad for him. I don't know.
Maybe there was
I'd like
maybe there's some scenes that like didn't make it, some deleted scenes where you get a bit of Ike's backstory about maybe he grew up in an abusive household, and you're like, oh, they hurt him as a young man, and you're supposed to feel a little bit bad for him, but I don't think that made it into the movie. So
yeah. I don't know. Uh, I watched that HBO the documentary Tina. They don't ever say anything about how Ike grew up. Like Tina grew up in or Anime Bullock, I guess, grew up in a abusive home. Like grew up around abuse between her mother and her father. So it's something she like had you know seen from a young age and was used to. But yeah, I have no clue. None of the things that I like read or consumed the past few days or past week or so has anything to do with where Ike came from. But I would love to see the script for a more evil version of Ike.
I know it's like, I mean, in this
Like,
movie, he's beating the shit out of her, he's raping her. Like, what? How does he get worse? Like, if this is the tone down Ike? What the was he just fucking Satan in the first draft? Like, what the hell?
yeah, I
He
can't
just
imagine.
shooting people when they pissed him off? Like, what?
I can't
I don't know.
imagine a worse Ike Turner than they portray. I mean, I guess you always could. I mean, he just could have beat her up more. I don't know. So the thing with the story I kept coming across that the first time that he beat her was with a shoe stretcher.
Oh.
Um, I don't know I don't know what that is actually. I don't know what a shoe stretcher is, but I imagine it can't be pleasant to get beat with. But I don't remember ever seeing that in the movie. Um, but again, I don't know what a shoe stretcher is. So even if I saw it, would I know what I was looking at.
Maybe the production also didn't know what a shoe stretcher was, and they just substituted it with something.
What is this shit? Yeah, well, they couldn't ask Tina. She probably didn't want nothing to do with it.
Hey, Tina, that thing that Ike beat the shit out of you with, what was that?
What does it look like?
How do you approach that conversation?
I don't know, but there's one of the scenes in this documentary that Tina that they're at the premiere of the film and they're on a panel, and Tina and Angela Bassett are sitting right next to each other, and she's just like, "Yeah, I want to relive this movie. I haven't seen it. I'm not gonna watch it." Like, apparently she did watch it eventually, but she like couldn't make it through, and she stopped.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
What?
That makes sense to me. Yeah, I mean, it all came back. She's watching it again.
Yeah.
It's like I can imagine not wanting to sit through that.
Yeah, I mean that's such a bizarre thing, and that's when you think too much about any biopic, it's like this was somebody's life, and then you're watching like a person that kind of looks like them, like do all the shit that they did, or do things they didn't do. Like what are you talking about? Inaccuracies or just like straight up falsehoods?
It's weird to do a biopic of somebody who's still alive and is going to go watch it.
Yeah.
That's really weird. I know it's kind of morbid, but I do think like you should wait till somebody's dead to tell their story.
Well, I mean, I think it depends on. So like Elton John for Rocket Man, he was like super down with like he was like, I want you to portray like my substance abuse, like I want everything in the movie, like I'm gonna be right there, like I mean, so that you know, I think it completely depends on the subject, like if the subject of the story is like, yeah, go ahead, like I want to be a part of it every step of the way, then you can do whatever you want as long as this person's like consenting to it.
True, but I would
Well,
imagine there's going to be some hesitation on the set of on the on the with the set being like, how far do we want to go? Like, I don't want to upset him. I know he said we got carte blanche, but how much
yeah,
leeway do we really have?
I think that's gonna be like a um it's going to be where like the relationship between the subject and the artist being like the director or the various artists that work on a film, the cast and the crew, uh, where their relationship with the subject of their biopic is going to come into play because there has to be a mutual respect there. There has to be honesty there too. Like, and I'm not sure how often there. I mean, I sincerely doubt Tina was on the set of this movie. Like, oh, this is how this happened. This is how this happened. Does not sound like she was like a consultant. Or like a writing credit or a producer credit. I don't remember seeing her name in the credits at all. Um, so yeah, like you said, there is definitely anytime that I find that anytime the first thing you read, like I mean I don't know what you do, but a lot of the time when I finish a film that I like, I don't like, just anything, I take out the old Google machine and look at stuff about it, and when the first shit that you read is like Tina hates this movie or whatever shit like that, it's definitely like, oh man, like it brings it down a little bit. Because she seemed like like such a brilliant soul, and we just want to like watch her pain. And that's why like I wish there was a movie that focused on like maybe had the Ike and Tina stuff, but then also like had like let's watch her like rock star years where she's just like happy and just like running shit, but like nobody wants to watch that, do they? Right? Like,
Well, I mean, I know just to be devil's advocate here, there's no conflict in that side of the
yeah,
story. Like that's just her.
nobody wants to watch
Yeah.
that.
It's just watching Tina Turner be awesome for 2 hours, which is cool.
Yeah,
But you need conflict to maintain interest, and the conflict here is just
no,
a
I mean you
lot
have
of
100% do. I don't think it would be like, I mean, there's like just looking at like if you just watch like video or pictures of her band for her like stadium tour that she did after Private Dancer, or not stadium tour, but like arena tour. Um, um, and they just look like they're having a time in their lives, and they're like best fucking friends. Like, I mean, it just yeah, wouldn't be an interesting movie, but it's also just like, how sad is it that like that's what we want, that we just want to watch this horrifically abusive relationship, and we don't want to watch this woman succeed, and be great. Like, I mean, we want to watch her triumph over everything, but then we're just going to get bored with like, you're triumphing too much, you know? You're just, there's too much triumph in your life, Tina Turner. Like, we need more pain.
At
Because,
least
yeah,
they
it
didn't.
seems like,
Yeah, at
go
least
ahead.
they didn't do like a sequel. What's Love 2? Like Ike's
What's
Revenge or some shit like that. Like,
Mike's revenge?
yeah,
He's back. And he's mad as hell. Fucking, well, wait, well, I think there's a really common thing with the biopics, right? Is the text at the end.
mhm.
Like David Bowie never really did figure out who he was, or something like that. Like it's like I think the end of this movie, it's like Ike ended up in jail on like drug possession or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like and like I don't know when, but he had also I think he won a fucking Grammy in like '91.
Yeah, for like best R&B like performance or
There's
something
a
like
the blue it's blues album, traditional blues
Blues album. That's it. Yeah,
album is what it is. I just remember that.
yeah.
So they
But I
could
mean,
have put that at the end of this movie. Like they could have put that. That could have been. Also, he won a fucking Grammy.
yeah.
Also, they gave a Grammy to this monster.
The Grammys have never been one to, you know, they gave Louis C.K. and
Yeah,
Marilyn
doing
Manson Grammys
political shit like
recently.
that.
Yeah, they don't fucking
Yeah.
care. Uh, I always look forward
There,
to the
there's a
Where Are They Now
certain.
stuff.
Oh, the is there a term for that other than where are they now or
Epilogue credits,
the
I guess.
text at the
I don't
end?
know.
Whatever. Tina went on to fucking crush it in all arenas. Well, okay, the thing that they say at the end of that is that Tina's first album went on to win 4 Grammys, right? It's like not her first album, right? Like
No,
Private Dancer is not her first solo record.
it
But
was
I
not.
did hear this quote in the Tina documentary that like so I was like really upset about that. They put that on there. I was like, that's just like fucking straight up not true. But then there's this quote from the documentary where she says, "My Private Dancer album, I don't consider it a comeback album because Tina had never arrived. It was Tina's debut for the first time, and this was my first album." Which is like, I'm not sure if they were pulling from that because I don't know when she said this. I'm not sure if she said uh, they pull from several different interviews, one of which is in '83 for People magazine, one of which is from like '91, and then some that are like current day in like 2020. And then various interviews throughout there that I'm not sure. So this must have been maybe '91 when she said this. Before What's Love Got to Do with It came out. So I'm not sure if that's what they were getting at. But if that's what they were getting at, then that's pretty cool, right? That,
Yeah,
like in spirit, it was her first album.
yeah. I'm glad they listened to Tina Turner on at least that.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I did watch the doc. Good call on that. It was
Yeah,
very.
it's really good, man. Yeah,
It was. She looked great in like 2019. Like she was in her early
yeah,
80s. She looked great.
yeah. I thought so too.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I thought it was good. Again, weirdly, the fucking doc also mostly about Ike.
Yeah, a lot of Ike stuff. Well, they set it up into like 5 different things, and I think for the last two, we don't really hear anything about Ike. But even towards the end, like you're still there's an interview I think it's like an '09, and she says like she's like, oh, we're gonna talk about him, huh? Like she's still just like just keep talking about this fucking asshole, you know? Like but they took a lot of time to talk about her husband that man she was married to when she died, Irvin Bach,
Yeah.
who I didn't even know existed. I didn't even know. Um, I think they're like I don't know. I don't. I guess I don't know if anybody gives a shit who Tina Turner was married to, but like I didn't. I guess.
I mean, as we've seen, people gave quite a shit about her marriage to Ike. So
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
yeah. But I am happy she found somebody who was, a decent human being.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if you remember in when she says at one point, she's like, "I never had love, like my whole life. Like my parents didn't love me, and you know, my husband didn't love me. Like I was like, that was some crushing shit that she had just never had a love affair. She had never
Yeah.
enjoyed love with anyone. Like it's fucking wild. Like, uh, I mean, it's like it's not the craziest thing in this world to like have never had that, but like for her, it's crazy. I for some reason I don't someone that's been married for a long time, this superstar persona, this larger than life person, like, I guess like, there's that cliche saying that like it's lonely at the top. Like
Yeah.
I guess for Tina that was true.
Yeah. I mean, Tina Turner was not, it was her stage name that Ike gave her that she took back, but her whole life was pretty much, on the stage. Just this persona became who she was. So other than that, she really didn't have much. She had her kids,
Yeah.
but yeah, eventually, she did find that guy. And I think, the last 20 years of her life were her happiest. And that's that. I'm glad she had that.
Well, what was she like she was in her late 40s for Private Dancer?
Yeah, she was touring and like, in her 50s, like as this rock and roll goddess.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, right on. Inspiration.
And she was at the time, I think, to like be the oldest woman to top the Billboard charts. Um feel like I read that somewhere to a top Billboard Hot 100.
I love that she didn't even want to do What's Love Got to Do with It. She thought it was a dumb song.
Well,
And
did you listen to that other version? What are they
yes,
called? Like
the Buzz
the
Fizz or something like that.
Buzz Bug Fizz Buck Fizz? No, fuck, I can't remember what they're called. But holy shit, it sucks.
But yeah, it took that one, I guess the songwriter to convince her, like, no, we should give this a shot. She's like, I don't even like this. I don't want it. And he's like, well, then, try it out. And if you don't use it, we'll throw it away. But like, what do you got to lose? And it was her biggest hit ever. She made that song her own. I always thought she wrote that because it sounds so much about her time with Ike. Like it sounds like a broken relationship. I always assumed she wrote that about that, but no.
Yeah, that is I have never really seen Tina as like a songwriter. I think that Tina's true skill is or was entertainment. Just like she's a fucking entertainer. Like she's not this prolific songwriter. I mean, she was a songwriter and a great musician, but like just attacking the stage every time she hit it and just being able to flip that switch and just turn it on. We see that like in the opening scene where she can't stop singing in the church and the grandma from Fresh Prince is like, "Get out of here," Uh, um, it is wild to find out that she had nothing to do with the creation of that song. Because yeah, I mean, and they not only did they titled the movie because it's the hit. They titled the movie "What's Love Got to Do with It" because it's the hit, but it also just feels like a good title for the movie outside of it being the hit. I think.
Yeah, for sure. It worked out for everybody pretty much. So despite not having Turner's final blessing, the film was a big success. It grossed 61 million on a budget of 15 million. It was nominated for 2 Oscars. Best Actress for Angela Bassett, which she lost to Holly Hunter for The Piano, and Best Actor for Lawrence Fishburne, which he lost to Tom Hanks for Philadelphia. I haven't seen The Piano. I have seen Philadelphia. It's hard to argue with that one, but
Yeah, I don't know The Piano. I want to watch it now out of spite though. Like just like you bitch, you shouldn't have won. Like you shouldn't have beat Angela. But yeah, I mean Tom Hanks is great in Philadelphia. I'm not a huge Tom Hanks fan, honestly. Like I don't think he's bad, but like like there's so people love that guy, right? And I don't get it. I don't get it, man. I know I never have. But yeah, he's fucking great in Philadelphia. It's hard to argue with. I agree.
But Fishburne's performance is really fucking transformative, and he had a
Yeah,
shot for sure.
it was not would not be the film that it was without its villain. Every story needs a villain, right?
Yeah, and he couldn't. It's like I remember somebody told Leonardo DiCaprio when he was doing Django Unchained, like This character's so evil that you cannot half-ass it. You cannot phone it in. You got to go full bore, or no one will ever forgive you. And I feel like it's the same with Fishburne as Ike Turner. Like if he was just moderately a douchebag, it wouldn't work. He had to be a full-blown sadist.
Yeah, I mean, I I wonder sometimes. It's like digging into some of these like inaccuracies. I wonder sometimes if like there's a thing where she says like, "Oh, he never raped me," um, or didn't rape me. Then that night that we see that really hard to watch scene where uh, Ike rapes Tina in the recording booth. Uh, um, that never happened, but she would say these things like, "Oh, he would beat me, then he would drag me in the room to have sex with me," and it's like if Tina Turner was like that age now, or just take someone from this age now, a lot of the language when we use the term rape, the language or and the appropriateness of that word now has changed, right? Like we're slowly crawling out of a dark age for women, I think. And I mean, not that women are the only people that get raped, but you know, I mean, let's not get hung up on semantics. I mean, that is the great sufferer of rape. Or that you definitely would use the term rape if she was beaten and then dragged into a room and then had sex with. I'm saying that in air quotes. Um, yeah, it seems like she was raped many times, but like did not herself consider it rape. So I wonder sometimes when we're talking about the abuse, like if she was there's things that she would just not talk about. And you know what? If she didn't talk about it, it's not things we need to know. Um, but yeah, I think this is just like a personal opinion. Um, I think the abuse was probably worse than what was shown in the movie.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. Typically, stuff like this, there's the stories that the victim allows you to hear, and then there's the ones that they keep to themselves, which are
right.
significantly worse and more degrading. And I definitely, Tina, I think, wanted to escape that so bad that she wanted the story told, but she also did not want to be seen as a victim in any way. So she told as much as she needed to.
just to get people off of her back, right? When there's that idea with that People magazine interview where she's like, okay, well, it's like that she couldn't get record companies to sign her. But they were like, all right, because they don't want to have anything to do with Ike. Because I mean, like, God, like, also just talking about his abuse, but he also just seemed like the way he dealt with other people, the way the film portrays him dealing with other people is just like he's fucking crazy, man. Like the way he's like comes up to Phil Spector and Phil Spector's like, I want to talk to her, and he's like, oh, okay, well, let's go over here. So apparently, like the documentary claims that Ike was paid off just to stay away from the studio when they were recording River Deep Mountain High.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what a fucking and I think it's important to say that the music industry, film industry, whatever industry, were rife with men like this. Like Ike was not alone. Like Ike's not the only guy that was like this, that
Not,
controlled women like this.
I mean, hell, look at who he's talking to, Phil Spector.
Yeah, yeah, Phil Spector's no paragon of of virtue.
Oh, no, no. Uh, yeah, freaking great. Yeah, unbelievable. In that scene, I thought Ike was going to beat the shit out of Phil Spector and be like, "Then don't you ever come back here."
Well, I mean, there's also like this thing where they're talking about Ike being like um, being like intelligent, but Tina saying that like he doesn't really know how to talk sometimes. Like, so he would get really shy during interviews. Like, but that like he's smart enough to understand that he can't viciously beat Tina in front of people. Like, he's got to do it behind closed doors. Like, so he would never hit Phil Spector like that. But that would have been great, right?
Well, I mean, the movie was already
It's
sacrificing
just
historical accuracy, so
Yeah.
why not have Ike just
Phil
attack Phil
versus
Spector?
Ike. Yeah. Let's just have Phil Spector die here. I think they could have like had a little more fun with Phil Spector. One of my favorite things about biopic movies is when other famous people show up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of a good example. Like Little Richard shows up and Get On Up, like, and you're not really sure it's him at first, but like, okay, that's got to be Little Richard, and then you hear him sing, and it's like, okay, that's him, and then he is. We find out that is Little Richard, and it's like a great scene where like this really fun character shows up, and the only one that we get in this movie is Phil Spector, like boring ass Phil Spector, and I mean, we could have had Jagger, Jagger he could have showed up, like David Bowie could have showed. We could have had a David Bowie scene or something. This one we just got like Roger Davies and Phil Spector. That was kind of it.
Yeah. I
Could
wonder if
have
that would have been
BB
distracting.
King.
Yeah,
Like
BB King.
yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. I love those scenes of these movies. I mean, are they necessary? No. It's just like here's another fucking famous person. Like
Yeah. Like straight out of Compton, like Dre's going to work and Tupac's over there recording California Love, and it's like, ha, Tupac. It's like it's a reaction you always have, like, ha, there's
there's the
Phil
whole
Spector.
thing with Snoop, yeah, Snoop and Dre like hanging out and straight out of Compton, like them being like, oh, he can't hang out here because he's a Crip, like. And he's like, no, it's fine. It's just music, but I mean, those make so much sense because those artists have such like interlocking stories. The story of Mick Jagger has nothing to do with the story of Tina Turner. He like doesn't exist without her. Is what the thing I would say.
Yeah.
I want to say something about something that I paying a lot of attention to when I'm watching all these biopics is the performance aspect of the performing, right? So it's like the acting performing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
The scenes where they're on the stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how would you necessarily say that, but like so the lip syncing, right? And I don't know necessarily what you would call the technique of pretending to play guitar or piano or whatever. But that's something I definitely watch a lot because I'm a musician and like I know what it looks like for someone to actually be playing music. And yeah, I think I get too hung up on it. Like it's not really the point, but there's times I'm just staring at Lawrence Fishburne strumming the guitar, and I'm just like, it's not right. It's not how you would be doing that thing. But this movie's not very egregious. I've watched a few that are like, God, like the what's going on is just like it's just someone strumming like chords, and then they're like, like they're playing a solo or something. Like this movie does not have like a whole lot of that, but for the most part, it's just very focused on Tina, right? And Angela Bassett, I think I don't know where you're at on this, but I think Angela Bassett's lip syncing is fucking great. It looks like she's singing those songs, and sometimes other performances I've seen that it's just like doesn't look like it at all. So that's just another aspect of the biopic, or specifically the musical artist biopic thing, because most of these are about vocalists, right? Because that's the stars of the show, right?
Yeah, I think Angela Bassett
Angela
did a
Bassett,
good job. Yeah,
hell yeah,
she did great. The most egregious version of that I've seen so far is Dennis Quaid in Great Balls of Fire, the Jerry Lee Lewis biopic.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, he's playing Jerry Lee Lewis, and when he's singing Great Balls of Fire, it is so clearly not him, and he's almost doing like just like not even mouthing the words, just like opening his mouth like an anime character, and it is so fucking stupid. It looks terrible.
I watched one, probably the worst biopic I've watched so far. In this kind of like watch list of biopics I've been doing recently, it was this movie called Sweet Dreams. It's Jessica Lange playing Patsy Cline. So, okay, hey, on paper, right? All right. And then Ed Harris is the love interest.
Damn.
That sounds like a good fucking movie, right? It's not. It's bad. I personally, well, I won't say it's bad. I personally think it sucks though. And one of the worst things about it is Jessica Lange just who is a vocalist. Like I've heard her sing. She can sing. I'm not asking her to sing Patsy Cline, like, because, like, hey, do you want to? That's a tall order. Like, um, she just, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not all her fault. Maybe it's also the way they're linking or syncing up the sound, the audio, or
Yeah.
however the fuck that shit works. But it looks so bad. Like it's just, and that like that takes you out of it. I don't give a shit about the story. I'm just thinking about like, man, you're so bad at that. Like, you're not really singing. Like, you got to seem like, it's got to feel like you're actually a vocalist. Yeah, and like the musicians playing the music on the stage, just like I don't know. Which that you just hire real musicians, right, to pretend to play.
Yeah, that's what happened in like, Back to the Future, like when Marty's doing the battle of the bands, like the behind him is the News, Huey Lewis's band who can do
All
this.
right.
So just have them, yeah. I feel like that's a no-brainer, but it rarely happens.
Yeah, but it's not a problem in this movie. There, yeah. If you pay too much attention to Ike Turner, but then they also have a scene where Lawrence Fishburne is playing piano when they're at their at Ike's house.
Mhm.
Which so you remember that whole scene, right? Like they're in that room together, and Ike is like, all right, we're about to go on tour. I'm gonna fine you for being late. And then he's like, haha, and everybody's like, oh, Ike, And then the Ikeettes are like like his wife, what's her name? Lorraine?
Lorraine, yeah.
Lorraine walks out, she's like, fuck you, Ike, or whatever. And then he's like, Lorraine, come on, like, and they're all like, ah, haha, Ike wants to fuck you, Tina, or Anime Bullock, or whatever. And she's like, no, he's with Lorraine, like, and they're all just giving her shit, like, just like hazing her, and they all leave, and then she's like, oh, I'll be right back, or I'll be right there, like, and then all of a sudden it's like late at night, and she's coming down the stairs. Like, I was so confused by the time of that scene, and like, I was like, what the hell was going on? And then he's like, why don't you just stay over tonight? Like there's a few scenes like that in this movie that I'm like, why? What the fuck? Like it's just the way they are showing me the order of events like make no fucking sense.
Well, that's
And it's
editing.
distracting.
It is distracting. I just assumed they're, singing or something, then they lose track of time or some shit.
Well, she's up. Is she up there in that room for like a long period of time? I don't know. It's just
I don't know.
whatever. It's not a big deal, I guess. Well, it is to me, but whatever. So the point is he was playing piano in that scene, right? Like he was just plinking out a little thing, not to the level that Ike Turner could play piano. Because I mean, for all of Ike's pure evil, like Ike was a great musician who like helped bring rock and roll into existence as it is now. Um, like he was a major player.
Yeah, 100%. He's credited with writing the first real rock song, Rocket 88, 1951. It got credited to somebody else, but then eventually
Yeah,
people were
which
like,
they
"Hey,
play.
that was
They
Ike's,
play
that
in
was
this
Ike's
movie.
song."
That's the first live performance we see.
Yeah, but he didn't actually play it in real life.
Well,
Like
yeah.
it was
So I got credit to this guy. He's
Jackie.
on the recording.
Hmm.
This
Yeah.
guy, Jackie Brenston, and the Delta Cats are credited with the song, but it's actually the Kings of Rhythm, who was Ike Turner's band. So Ike Turner's on that recording playing piano, and he wrote the song. But like this guy, Jackie Brenston, who was Ike Turner's saxophone player, was actually credited. So this is the beginning of Ike's paranoia, like this thing where he keeps saying in the film where he's like, oh, you're just gonna leave me, I'm just gonna make you famous and you're gonna leave me. Like that began with this recording of Rocket 88 in 51, and then just continued through the rest of his career, that he felt like he was a kingmaker, like he's making everybody into a star, you know.
What an
But they,
ego.
yeah, they just poison his mind against everybody else. But I that the Rocket 88 scene, and then he's playing the song, you know, I love you, darling, you know, I love you, and that's when they're passing the mic around. Like, I love that fucking scene, man. Like, that scene's fucking great.
Oh yeah, when he's like when some he hands it to someone who can't sing, and Ike's just like cutting
Yeah,
it off.
yeah.
Like no.
And this is where we're still living in a world where Ike is maybe a fun, you know, he's just a fun, handsome womanizer, you know,
Yeah.
just cool cool music guy. I don't know. We don't know how evil he is yet. That scene's fucking great. I love we see very little of her, but I love Aileen, um, Anime's sister. I don't know why. She's a fun character.
I love how the film portrays her mom as just another manipulator who used her children. How like Ike bought her participation with a house. He
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
buys Tina from her.
Well,
It's
so
yeah.
I think Tina actually purchased that house. Like, she was a part of buying that house. So like that was already, I think I read somewhere that she had already like purchased that house, and like so that was just another way for them to, you know, like you're saying, just but I'm not convinced that there's not some truth to um her mother not like basically like teaming up with Ike. I mean, you know, he says like, "Oh, my guys trampled your flowers and whatever. Here's some cash." And then she looks out there and sees the flowers, untrampled flowers. So she's like, "Oh, this guy's just gonna pay me so that he can use my daughter," which is what she wanted, what she's portrayed as wanting. She's like, "You're gonna get a job. You know, you got to go get a job. I'm the only one who has fun in this house. You gotta get a fucking job, anime. You know what I mean?"
Yeah. Damn. Tina really overcame a lot of just everyone used her, and I'm glad she was eventually able to find her own like self-worth, because everyone in her life just had a wanted something from her, saw her as a meal ticket.
Yeah.
So what's love got to do with it? Has an IMDb score of 7.3, Rotten Tomatoes score of 97%. Critics' consensus reads, with a fascinating real-life story and powerhouse performances from Angela Bassett and Lawrence Fishburne, What's Love Got to Do with It is a can't-miss biopic. It's like, well, yeah, that's pretty accurate. I agree. With that, let's give this film some awards. So we've got the Quentin Tarantino Award for the best line of the film, the Thomas Newman Award for the best music moment, the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award for the best performance, and the John Carpenter Award for the best scene. Let's start with the Tarantino. What is the best line of the film, do you think?
Oh, the best line. I don't know what the best line is in film. I do know what line I'm gonna give this award to though. I gotta give it to when they're in the ambulance after Tina tries to kill herself, and Ike says, "If you don't make it, I'll kill you." And I think that sums up Ike's antagonism pretty well, and how insane it is, and how it doesn't make any fucking sense that if she does not live, like, he's going to kill her. Like, which is I don't think, actually, I don't think he ever said that. But just within the universe of the film, the narrative, like, I've always like the time I watched this before. First time I watched this a little bit ago. It was a line that stuck out to me, and it stuck out to me this time too. Just like it, I mean, I actually kind of laugh when he says it. Like it's just such a fucking crazy thing to say. It's not the first time I've heard, like, I feel like I've heard that in other films or something like that, or something. I don't know, but yeah, that's what I'm giving the Tarantino to.
Coming from Ike Turner, that it's even more ridiculous. I read that as like, in that moment, this is Ike actually trying to help, like saying to her, like,
Like, threatening
like almost,
her.
yeah, like scaring her back to life.
Yeah, I actually feel like I remember reading that somewhere, like that no, it was one of the ICATs that would say like, yeah, he would like scare her into he could scare her into doing things and like wanting to live or something. Yeah. So that is interesting. But
I do think Ike thought that he had the power to literally, scare death away from her. I think he did think he had that power over Tina.
if you don't make it, I'll kill you. Uh, that's another way to look at the line. Yeah, I actually think that what you're saying might actually be the point of that line. But I don't. For me, like the way it hits me was like, God, this guy's so fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I like that. Yeah. I went with the scene where right after Tina has started learning Buddhism and has started to kind of be reinforced by this and start to fight back a bit against Ike, and they're on the plane, and he's like trying to sleep on her shoulder, and she's like, "Fuck off!" Like trying to get him off, and he's like, "Girl, you better let me go to sleep!" Like just freaking out on her, and she gets up and leaves, and he's like, "Where are you going?" And she just goes, "Go straight to hell," Ike, and walks upstairs. I love that. It was like the first glimpse of her.
Straight to hell.
Yeah, just finally being like, fuck you, man. Like finally getting one. And I just really like that.
Go straight to hell. Like, good fucking choice. As we get more into these awards, we'll revisit parts of that scene. I am foreshadowing.
Very nice. The Thomas Newman Award, the best music moment, which is definitely probably the coolest one we've got here for a biopic like this.
For sure.
What did you go with for music?
I went with the scene where they're recording the song "Make Me Over."
Okay.
So this is shown, and this is a wild inaccuracy on part of this movie. But I love this fucking song. And I mean, the song came out in 1973, and for Nutbush City Limits is the name of the record. I think it's an Ike and Tina record. So before she left him, and so in '73. But this is what, like, we're in the late '50s right now, I think. Because she met him was it like '58 that they met?
57 or 58, yeah, around then.
Okay. So this is like him, like, come down to the recording studio, like they had just fucking met. Maybe she's 18 at this point. So yeah, this is really inaccurate that they put this song in this part of the movie, but I fucking love the scene. Like, Ike is like, sing louder, you gotta do it rough. But like, what I really love is when the Ikettes come behind her and they start doing the dance, like the way that the kind of like that, make me over, and then the background vocals come in and the band's just fucking hitting, man. Like, also this is like really inaccurate as a part of like what that would sound like in that room if they were recording. Like, I just wish some of these movies would have an actual fucking band do something. Maybe it's just a part of filmmaking that I don't understand, as they are so many aspects of this art form that I don't fucking understand. But I don't know. I'm waiting for that, man. I want a filmmaker to do something like that. But either way, I mean, I love this scene. I love that song. So yeah, the first time Tina records "Make Me Over," it's
Good
the
pick.
Newman Award for me.
I like that. It's kind of Tina developing, a proto version of what her sound will become. And that's a nice scene. I went with the Proud Mary montage.
Right on.
I fucking love their version of Proud Mary.
That was my original choice as well. That montage is fucking great, man.
I love Ike Turner's goofy Beatles style haircut. Like, he keeps trying to be in with the trends every couple years.
Dude, his changing fashion is fucking great, but it also just makes him seem all the more ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like that. We're just kind of like assaulted with his new hairstyle, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, he looks so goofy by today's standards. Oh man, yeah.
Well, I love it. It's showing that he has no like sound or style all his own at all. He just takes whatever is popular at the time and
Yeah.
forces Tina into it. That's what he's always done, and his fashion reflects that. But yeah,
Yeah.
Proud Mary.
Yeah.
I thought Angela Bassett did a great job being Tina in those performance scenes, and getting to see the montage of their family growing and their career starting to her career starting to get popular, his starting to not, and the turmoil that that's causing. It was all very well done. So Proud Mary.
Is that the scene where at the end they basically just play the whole song, and then at the end everyone's chanting Tina and she's holding hands with Ike, but then he slowly steps back into the shadows. Yeah, that was a great little bit right there. Also, the Proud Mary had not, like, they think they said they showed this. There's a couple more inaccuracies. I don't know. Do you want to hear them? Do you?
Yeah, go nuts.
Do you want to hear the inaccuracies?
Sure, why not?
So they had not recorded that they show that starts in 1968. Rolling Stones did not play a song in they didn't play a show in 1968. They toured with them in 66 and 69 with the Ike and Tina review. So they had not even recorded Proud Mary yet. Like, Proud Mary wasn't one of their hits in 1968. They recorded in 1970. So they show it starts in 1968 and ends in like 73, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're showing each show with a different date on it, right?
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, they ended in 73, which then the next sequence is them recording Push City Limits, which is when that record came out. But yeah, more inaccuracies. But who gives a shit?
I like the nitpicks for historical movies. I think that if you're going to tell somebody's story, you have an obligation to do it right.
Well, like this one, some of them make no sense. Like, why wouldn't you just have this start in 19? Like, why would you not just have this start in, like, I don't know. They wanted to do. I think maybe they were like, all right, we're gonna do the Proud Mary montage. That was probably always a plan. Because I mean, yeah, this song fucking rules. This is probably the first Tina Turner song I ever heard. I think. I always thought this was her song. I didn't know it was CCR till I was like, I was probably like in my fucking 20s when I found out that this was a cover. Even probably before I was made aware of the CCR original version, I probably still was just like, oh yeah, but that's Tina's song. And in many ways, it just fucking is. The way like All on the Watchtower is Jimi Hendrix's song, like that's the version people think of.
Yeah.
Tina's version is the version I think of for Proud Mary. I do love the Creedence version though. Like, I love John Fogerty's voice, man.
I did get to see John Fogerty play that live. Regrettably, I did not get to see Tina do it.
Yeah, those tickets probably would have been pretty steep. Was it 09 was her last tour?
Yeah, her 50th anniversary farewell tour, and then she retired after that.
Fucking A. Yep. Well, what are you gonna do? All right, yeah, great choice though. The ones I wrote down was the Proud Mary scene, the Shake a Tail Feather scene, and the Make Me Over scene. I think of those three, Make Me Over is like my favorite song of those three.
Shake a Tail Feather, I always thought was a Ray Charles song because of the Blues Brothers.
Yeah, well, it's not her song either. It's some I think it's a British guy, like it's a British invasion song. Because that's the scene where they're trying to do the British invasion, like those kind of funky colors and all that shit, like and he's got the hair, and remember the glasses that he has in the diner, that Ike has in the diner, like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Fucking goofy as shit, man. All right, should we move on to the next one?
Performance, Phyllis Seymour Hoffman. Who wins? Is it Angela or is it Lawrence?
That's gotta be Angela for me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I thought we were maybe gonna be on the same page for that one.
Yeah, I mean, good God.
Yeah, all I think really is like, God, she's fucking on fire in this movie. Like, one of the scenes where I am like, okay, she's so good in this movie is the Shake a Tail Feather scene. where she's doing the one of Tina's like signature dance moves where she kind of like bends. I mean, just describing her dance moves are fucking hilarious, but where she like bends over and then I don't know, does the thing with her arms. I don't know. But yeah, she's hitting on every front, man. Like everything's there's a lot of things I don't like about this movie, but there's nothing about Angela Bassett's performance that I that I dislike. I think is the
I'm with
best
you.
way I could put it.
Well, it's the strength she shows in dealing with all of this. Like she never makes Tina seem weak or broken or victimized. She always makes Tina seem strong. And that was the best thing she brought to the performance, I thought. But yeah, I'm sure we'll talk more about her when we get in the next award, the John Carpenter, the best scene. Where'd you go with that?
Oh, the with the limo scene, and then what I actually wrote down was the Tina fights back scene.
I wrote
So
the
it's
same
right
thing.
at
Tina fights back.
so it's like right after she. So it's like right after they get off the plane, she says go straight to hell, and he smacks her a little bit in the car, and then she's like, nah, like all right, so then just starts fighting him. But like I think specifically of that sequence, my favorite scene is when they walk into the hotel just looking like fucking shit. Like then she just goes up to the desk and she's like Turner. They're like, do you need a hospital, man? Like Ike's like, hell no. That yeah, it's just everyone staring at them and they're all fucking like they're both like bleeding and shit. Like, but yeah, I mean that scene's great because like the whole movie you're looking at Tina and you're like, this motherfucker's ripped, you know? Like
Yeah. I
she
was
probably
thinking that
throw
like during
down.
the Proud Mary scene where she's like moving her arms, I'm like, you have fucking biceps for days. Like you could
Yeah.
punch Ike's head clean off.
Well, I wonder if she did it because Tina was like that, was like always very like physically strong and just like muscular. So I wonder if like Angela Bassett like just naturally was like that at that time, just that's what she looked like at that time in her life, or if she like specifically got in shape like that for this film. I never read anything to indicate that, but yeah, I mean she's swole in this movie, man.
Yeah. It's the whole movie. You're just waiting for them. Like, it. There's going to be a moment where she finally is like, fuck you, and punches back. And when we finally get it, it's so satisfying. And he's so taken aback. He's like, what? I was not expecting this.
Yeah,
And when
there's a
she
look
finally,
on his face.
yeah, when she finally attacks, he doesn't know how to handle it. She kicks him in the balls and she's like, what? Is that all you've got? And he's like, yeah, it's great. And he knows at that moment, like, she's not afraid anymore. Like I can't control her anymore. And he's terrified.
Well, and like there's a shot of the limo like after we show them fighting, and she like jumps on him, and then there's a shot of the limo driving by, and it's just him like wailing. He's just like, oh, as the car drives away, like, and then the next shot is them walking into the hotel all fucked up. Yeah, great fucking scene. And then when they get up to the hotel, he was like, wake me up, and she's like, whatever you say, Ike. Would you like anything else? Well, Angela Bassett's delivery in the hotel room is just fucking cold as shit. But like that's one of the things. Like she is scared. The way that she runs away from the hotel across the freeway, obviously she's fucking scared enough. Like, um, but like there's so much like subtle nuance to her. Like I don't know. She's putting so much work in. But she put so much work into this movie, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I love the scene. A runner up for me was the scene in her dressing room at the end when Ike shows up with the gun and tries to scare her one last time, and she's just like, "I don't give a shit what you do, but I've got to go on stage." it's so great to see that he's lost complete control over her.
Yeah,
and it's just sad.
That and then also the scene prior to that when he comes at her after the rehearsal and he tries to be like nice to her, like I've changed, I'm not getting drugs, or I'm not mean, I'm not getting high anymore. And he's like, I just need you, just need you to be I just need a hit, and I can get the way he asked her just to sing on another song because he's like, he's nothing without her, like. But I mean, so like, I mean, deeper into like Ike and like there are people like that in the music industry and just like music history, and then like people I know just in my small local uh scene of musicians, like these people that can just like make other musicians great and like write cool shit for them. But like if they're egomaniacal about it and they want to be the one that's in front of everything and be cool, like I could have just sat back and like collected checks and not been an evil prick and not be obsessed with like he could have changed it to Tina Turner a long time ago and still just made a shitload of money. But he had to be on everything, like, and that was part of the reason why, like, it's part of one of the reasons why I fucked him over and like, and ruined him in that era of his life. I mean, he eventually won a fucking Grammy, I guess, but
Do you think that if
I don't know.
if he hadn't been screwed out of the credit for Rocket 88, if he'd gotten that as like a credited hit, do you think that paranoia would have set in eventually anyway, or he might have been more willing
I mean,
to?
I think that's his origin story. He also was a super close friend of BB King. Like he claims that like his like Ike Turner's mother used to like watch BB King and like so they were close like that. They had like a brotherly relationship. So he like was on tracks like the song that they play when they're passing the mic around, "Darling, You Know I Love You." That's a BB King song, and Ike is credited as playing piano on the record. So he was brushing shoulders with like superstars, these super famous people, but he just never got. I mean, this Jackie Brenston guy. I mean, I had never fucking heard of him until I was doing research about this, and by research I mean looking at Wikipedia pages. But but um, he was a big deal for a little while in his own right. This Jackie Brenston character,
Well,
but BB King,
yeah,
legendary
BB
musician. Like,
huge. Well, I find it interesting, ironically, Ike Turner did become very famous, just not for music.
yeah, just not for music. Well, and you can even go farther and say, like, would he have ever won a Grammy for a blues album if he wasn't like beating the shit out of one of the most famous I mean not just like famous musicians, but just like a cultural icon. One of the things that I noticed that the documentary never really touched on, and the movie doesn't touch on a whole lot, is how Tina Turner became like a queer icon in her own right. I mean, she herself is straight, but like that she became this like idol to queens, to drag queens, and became this subject of a lot of drag performances. There's just that one scene where she's singing Disco Inferno towards the end, and it's kind of like her scene where she's like not a big deal anymore. Like there's like old people in the background. They're
Yeah, she's doing buffets and shit. Yeah.
yeah. But then there's just a bunch of queens sitting right in the foreground at that table, and they're just like, yes, fuck yeah, and like what her shit meant to those community to LGBTQ communities and to drag community. They don't really go too hard into that, but I mean to get back, I'm on a bit of a tangent here, but no, I think the Rocket 88 getting screwed out of that is his origin story. And who knows? That may have happened a lot before that too. Uh, he's like was this brilliant fucking musician back then, and then towards the end of his life too. But his ego just got in the way. Not just his ego, but also his penchant for violence. By all accounts, was just as described by multiple people as being a very violent guy. And obviously didn't think very highly of women. So those things also fucked him over.
True. I do hope, I know this didn't happen, but when he did win his Grammy, I wish they'd announced him as Tina Turner's ex-husband.
Tina Turner's ex-husband, Ike Turner. That would have been hilarious.
He would have thrown that thing at somebody. Yeah. Well, any other scenes you want to spotlight before we get to our next segment?
Well, yeah, I mean, just I guess we've kind of naturally come to the end of the film over time, and I mean, you've got that last scene. It's a very common thing for these musical biopics to show them performing at the end, and then cut to the actual artist doing whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean it's a nice little scene to cap the film off. Also, an inaccuracy there though. Tina did not perform at the Ritz. She had not released Private Dancer yet, so she could not have performed What's Love Got to Do with It at the Ritz at that time. So more inaccuracies. But I mean it's a nice little scene, I think. This is also, if you watch the documentary right after it, it opens with another song from that concert recording. Which is pretty cool, right? It starts with I can't remember what it starts with. Whatever. It's not the point. Yeah. Next segment. Let's go.
All right. Let's see what Letterboxd has to say on our final segment. What's in the box? What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun. So Letterboxd has this at a 3.7 out of 5. Pretty good. It's a 3.5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, I think I gave it 3.5 for the first time I saw it.
Yeah. This was my first time with the movie, and it was delightful. I enjoyed it. I mean, not delightful. I wasn't like, oh, this is cheery, but I did like the movie.
This is fun. Yeah, no, I mean, Angela and Laura are a 5 for me, and the rest of the movie is, not as good. I don't know.
Fair enough. Well, I've got 4 reviews here that I find amusing. This first one's from Courtney Fox. Ike Turner really had the nerve to continue living for 14 years after this movie. 3.5 stars. I bet he didn't care for this. I know he wrote a book called Taking Back My Name where he refuted all of this.
Yeah, I mean, well, you would, right? Yeah. I don't know. The other option is just being like, yes, I am an evil, abusive man. You just own it. I don't know. Say I've changed. I don't know. He went to prison. Maybe he'd be like, I changed in prison. That was his chance for a comeback, saying I changed in prison, I think.
Yeah. Didn't work out. I know Lawrence Fishburne met with him one time to talk to him about the role, but only one time. I guess Fishburne was like, Jesus Christ, this guy, and just couldn't do it again. This next one's from Brandon Stanwyck. I'm so out of shape. 3.5 stars. It's like, yeah, those arms are intimidating.
Yeah, Angela's in very good shape in this film.
Yeah, for sure. This next one's from Chris. Remarkably, this movie makes Phil Spector seem kind of chill to work with. 2.5 stars. Yeah. I mean, you got to be one crazy motherfucker to make Phil Spector look like the sane guy in the room. So well done, Ike.
Yeah, well, I mean, up against Ike, yeah.
Oh boy. And this last one is from Tiffzilla. There was a house plant at work that nobody took care of that was on death's door, and I decided to put it on my desk. I named it Angela Bassett and told her how amazing it was every day, and now it's flourishing. So when Tina reaches her breaking point and beat Ike's ass in the limo, I always have the widest grin on my face. Actually, I can watch from that point to the end of the movie as Ike's feelings slide down the drain on a loop. 4 stars.
Right on.
Good for you. I love that you're just like, I'm going to save this plant by naming her Angela Bassett.
Plant would be dead without being called that.
Yeah, a little bit of Tina's charisma got into that plant somehow, and it's thriving. This was a blast. I'm glad we could do this in Tina's memory. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you like the show, feel free to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Filmgazm Productions. If you want to suggest films for us to check out, you can email us at filmgazm@gmail.com or send us a message through the socials. Find me at Letterboxd at Connor95. In my friends list, you can find the rest of the team. There you can read reviews I churn out pretty much every day. Check out the website, filmgazm.com, where I have a link to that Letterboxd, and you can also find articles, trailers of upcoming films, and every episode of our show. If you'd like to be a monthly donor to Filmgazm Productions, feel free to click on the link in the episode description. From there, click on Support This Podcast. You can choose to donate $1 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month, and we appreciate any donations you think we deserve. Thanks to the entire Filmgazm team for their constant friendship and contributions to the show. Thanks to Cooley Cal for our awesome theme music, and thanks to you for checking out the show. If anybody listening is in an abusive relationship, know that you are not alone, and there is always help. This episode is dedicated to the memory of Tina Turner, the queen of rock and roll. Take it easy, keep watching movies, and we'll see you next time.